Well, I have to agree with you. The numbering system for Canon's DSLR and mirrorless cameras is really confusing. But here it is summed up in just one statement. The smaller the number, the better the camera. Although, will the R7 be better than the upcoming R8? Hey guys, so news just in about two cameras to be released by Canon before the end of the year. They are the R100 and the R8. Now, about the R8, I did have a video about this a couple of weeks ago as being a replacement for the Canon EOS R, the Canon EOS R Mark II, here and known as the R8. But anyway, if we get to the rumors about the expected releases for the Canon R100 and the R8, let's dive into it. The R100 is going to be an APS-C size sensor, 24 megapixels is predicted. This is going to be a stripped down version of the R10. And how do I mean they're going to strip it down? Well, first of all, they need to bring the price right back. It needs to be an entry-level APS-C mirrorless camera for the R series, because at the moment the R10 is the entry level, or the RP, but they're both still mid-range priced cameras. So Canon needs something a little bit cheaper, and here comes the R100. Perhaps in order to strip it down, they'll do things like remove the EVF. Definitely there's going to be no IBIS in it. Maybe they'll slow down the frames per second. Because the R10 is a powerhouse at 15 mechanical, 30 electronic. They may pull that back a bit to 12 and 10 perhaps. To 10 and 12 perhaps. Something along in those regions. And probably some limitations with the video recording as well. You may get the 4K 60, but there is going to be a crop on that sensor. And that's going to allow Canon to plant that camera, the R100, firmly in the entry-level area. But make no mistake, in terms of the camera itself and the sensor, this is going to be a powerhouse of a camera. All cameras coming out now are pretty much powerhouses of cameras. They can do essentially everything you need to, with the exception that some of the more highly spec'd or more expensive cameras can do those functions with a little bit more finesse and reliability. And remember, when you are spending money in the field of photography, you end up paying the most amounts of money for the smallest increments of beneficial improvement. So you get a lot of camera for a smaller amount of money right at the start. That's what the R100 is going to be. And yes, so for the R100, I predict it's going to be in the range of about $600 to $800 USD. Here in New Zealand, I'm not sure what the price will be. Maybe a little over $1,000, $1,200, $1,300 with the kit lens. And there's a strong possibility the kit lens this time around will be the RFS 10 to 18 millimeter. I think probably f4.5 to 6.3. I would not be surprised to see something in that range, quite a slow wide angle. Bearing in mind that up till now, there are no native wide angle lenses to go with the R7, the R10, and the soon to be forthcoming R100. Moving on. We're going to talk about the R8. This is going to be a full frame camera. More than likely, it'll retain the 30.3 megapixel sensor of the EOS R. It's going to be planted firmly in that $1,800 to $2,000 USD dollar mark, and it's going to be a really, really great prospect for an entry level or a slightly more than entry level full frame mirrorless camera over the RP, which will remain as the entry level full frame offering. So what can you expect to see in the R8? Again, I mentioned the 30.3 megapixel sensor. There won't be IBIS because they have to differentiate it from the R6, of course, and there may only still be one card slot, which helps further differentiate it from the R6. Okay, the frame rate will probably increase, and so will the processing speed. The autofocus will get a bit of a kick, a bit of a revamp, but beyond that, it's basically going to be very similar to the situation it is now. Of course, they're going to get rid of the multi-function bar, and hopefully they do retain the top deck display. That is something that differentiates it for the better from the R6. Let me check my notes. Okay, so for the R8, 4K 30 with no crop, HD 120 frames per second more than likely. Probably move up to about 8 frames per second mechanical, 12 electronic, maybe a little bit faster on the electronic side considering how constrained the situations are. You can actually use that function. So that's it, guys. That's a wrap on the rumors about the upcoming releases later this year. For the Canon R series, you've got the APS-C size sensor R100, the stripped back version of the R10, and you've got the replacement to the very first Canon mirrorless R mount camera, the EOS R. It's going to be the EOS R8. Let's look out for these later in the year. Will you be interested in either of these? I mean, the R8 does sound good. It sounds good. I could work with that. But if you're going to get the R8, do you jump to the R6? Oh my gosh, so many decisions, isn't it? And then we get back to the Canon numbering system. Whew. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Bye.